if it was true or not. So, you know,
Man.
yeah.
Eh,
So just with all the uncertainty, but like I said, he was a friend. I mean, he back in that back in that era, man. I mean, like every team had 7, 8 African Americans that were on a team, and so when you were young and you looked like them, they took care of you. You know what I mean? And we became real close. And you know, it's just one of those things. Earlier, this month we lost Merv Retman too. Who I think was the best batting instructor for me. I know he made a world of difference between him and Tony Gwynn, a world of difference, in my career. So uh, it's been a rough month, and it's been a rough that Padres team, man. We lost way too many people off of that team. But me and Ricky go back to shoot when I first got drafted, and growing up in Northern California, man. I mean, how can he not be your hero? You know what I mean? How can he, Bobby Bonds, you know, Willie McCovey, you grew up, that's why I'm so diehard Giants, 49ers, and it was, the Warriors, but we have the Kings in sack now. But I mean, that's who I grew up watching and idolizing. Everyone wanted to be like Ricky. He had the power, he had the
dude.
moxie, he had the flair, he had the style, he had the charisma, and it was fun to watch. And when I jumped on just now, I heard you guys talking about stealing bases isn't important because the analytic guys, just like football. And did you see the thing with the NBA basketball now? The analytic guys also said shoot threes. That's what threes are more important than twos. But if you can't make threes and you can't rebound, then you got a bad product, right?
Yep.
So it, I mean, you have to have some type of human element with it. Look at all these guys that followed last year in the NFL that followed analytics. 4th and 1 on your own 20. Are you kidding me? You're gonna go for that 4th and 1 on your own 20, and
Yeah.
it's they've never played. So to them, it's easy to look at a computer and put a bunch of data in it, and say, okay, we crunched the numbers and this is what it says. But who are you going to have to execute it? And what are the conditions? Is our top guy running like he's running? Is the line moving people like they're moving people? There's a lot of factors that come into playing sports, man. And I give it up to your Chargers the other day. Harbaugh is a football man. And,
Yep.
I didn't like what he did to my 49ers, but hey, 4th and 1, 4th and 2. Hey, I'm kicking field goals. I'm kicking field goals. I'm kicking field goals until I can score a touchdown and they win the game. These other guys, they're going for it, and the game's over in the first quarter.
Yep.
You know what I mean? They're playing catch up the whole time.
That,
So you have to find a way to have both. You can't just have one. You have to find
well,
a way
and
to.
I just one thing I think about with a guy like Ricky Henderson, how momentum shifting. Think about if the bats are kind of going dry. Ricky gets on base, then he steals second. You know what I'm saying? Then he steals third. Like he literally could just switch. Just he could like turn on the momentum of a team by himself. But
But
nobody's hitting. All you got to do is get Ricky on base.
yeah, like I said, he took over a game. He disrupted the game. Uh, during that era, you had Vince Coleman. I mean, you had Rock Range. I mean, everybody could run back then. Everybody. First baseman could run. You had Dave Park. I mean, you had everyone that can run. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And that's when the game was exciting. Now, you have guys that never played once again saying that's not important. You tell me if I can get to third base less than 2 outs and all I got to do is hit a ground ball and I get a run, that's
Dude.
way easier than trying to get a 3-run home run or a hit with a guy on second base. You know what I mean?
You know, I
And,
I think it would. I think it would be interesting if somebody were to go back and look at his career stats. How many games he was responsible for going into the second inning, being responsible for his team being up at least 1-0.
probably 95% of the games he played in because he either
It
walked
was
and he
just
turned it into a
incredible.
triple, or
How
if he
and then
didn't.
then you could also go back and look at how many that his games that he played that they won by 1 run.
But what you don't understand too is how it affects the lineup. Even when I was coming up, you know, we had Pat Listash, Rookie of the Year, but we back then everyone ran except Detroit Tigers. You know what I mean?
Right.
They didn't. They didn't run because they have big boppers and they were just going to three-run jacks all over the place. But
Yep.
everyone ran. You don't understand what it's like having somebody that can steal bases in front of you. Now my pitches just got better to hit, so it
Yep.
affects the whole, you know, volume of the game. It flips the script in the whole game of the game planning and how you pitch to a lineup and what you do. But it is what it is.
I just
Instead,
I think about too, like, just how nerve wracking it had have been for pitchers anytime Rickey Henderson got on base. Think about, now you have to worry about, okay, Greg Vaughn's up to bat, but you got Rickey Henderson on first base. That had to have been just the most nerve wracking thing, because if you're trying to concentrate on Greg Vaughn or Gary Sheffield, next thing you know, Ricky's on second. Next thing you know, he's on third. Next thing there's
we can
only
hit a
one
ground
out, and Greg Vaughn hits a long fly ball, but it's a 1-0 game all of a sudden
or, or,
because
or
Rickey
a
Henderson
ground
was
ball
on base.
or ground ball. I've never seen a person affect the game like he affected the game. I
It's
mean, you
just,
had you had Vince Coleman, during his times. You
yeah,
had
yeah,
Rock Reigns. Yeah, but Ricky was the GOAT. You know what I mean? He was the GOAT. He was the man that affected more games than anybody else, I think, in baseball. And
just
See,
you know,
like
and
great.
what I was saying earlier, and Greg, you'll probably get it too. Hey man, I know the pitchers probably hate him, but I bet the ones that hated him most was the catchers because they try to throw him out.
yeah, but they can. So they're trying to call fastballs to get them out, and now these guys are hitting balls all over the ballpark. But so, like I said, it affects so it affects the game like people don't understand. Like I said, it's so much easier, and we gone away from that to hit a ground ball to second or shortstop for the guy on third than it is to get a base hit. But they
Yeah,
don't play for that now, and that's why you said, sports are exciting, but they're not. I think the quality isn't as good, and the players are way more athletic, way better, way more talented. I mean, all the information they have. I just think you can be information overboard sometimes. You know what I mean?
yeah,
You got to find a way for the guys at top that are humble, be humble enough to listen to the guys that have done it, so they can work together instead of just saying this is the way we're going to do it,
yeah,
and that's it. You look at all the teams that win.
yeah,
They either have a former coach,
Agreed.
for former players on their staff, whether it's the NBA or they just go out and buy the best players in the world. But good players make good coaches. And you look
yeah,
at the Dodgers. The Dodgers don't strike out. Dodgers make productive outs. They play defense. They steal bases. They run hard. That's why they win championships. And they do have the highest payroll. But if that's the case, the Yankees had the highest payroll for about
ever.
100 years out of having this league. And
Yep.
that doesn't guarantee you
No.
got to buy into what you're selling, man, and you got to have the right person at the front, at the top.
The actor in me, if I was the coach of a baseball team, I would make every team watch Bull Durham and Major League, just because it's kind of the anti-analytics, like the unwritten rules, the superstitions, all those things are all part of the game. It's
It's just like
analytics.
being the human element. I mean,
Yes, the
the,
human element. You've taken it out of the game.
yeah, the analytics are the people controlling it. I don't want to say it's bad because I believe information is good, but everybody's not Steph Curry.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everybody's not Steph Curry. Everybody's
Somebody's.
not Patrick Mahomes. Everyone doesn't run the quarterback sneak like Tom Brady did. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have to have people that
Know the role.
everyone's role is different. I mean, and you
Yep.
have to have someone leading them that can coach them to whatever their strengths and weaknesses are.
Yep.
Everyone has the same team rules,
I
but
and yet,
everyone's
Greg,
buttons are different.
Greg, I'm gonna assume, because you played for Bruce Bochy, right?
Yep.
I'm gonna assume Bruce Bochy is a master of those unwritten human elements of the game, right?
He is. Bruce Bochy, when he was my coach, uh, and just knowing him and being around him, he let us police the locker room. He let the players do what they had to do. But we all knew one thing: you have to play hard, and
Yep.
what he expected of you. He was a lifetime backup catcher, right?
Yep.
So he knows how tough it was to play this game.
Yep.
Lifetime backup catcher. He knows how tough it is to play the game.
Yep.
So you had that empathy. When you were struggling, that he could put his arm around you and lift you up, and he knew what buttons to push, and and the communication. See, that's the thing. communication was always good. On my bad teams, communication was horrible from the
Yep.
top to the bottom. But with the good ones, you know where you stand. It's a straight shot, and communication is good. I don't want to have to read between the lines, and and both, the delivery. Sometimes it needs to be rougher than others or sterner than other times, but the delivery is the key. Just like in life, right? Whether
Yeah.
it's home, your everyday, the delivery is the key to how something comes across, and how people perceive it or take it.
Yep. All right. Well, just yeah, Rickey Henderson gone. Too young, man. A legend. Straight legend. So, and like I was telling Tony, just every time something like that happens, it's like a little bit of my childhood kind of dies. You know,
Yeah. Yep.
these kids these days, they never, they didn't get to watch. I mean, before we got the Rockies in Denver, I was the world's biggest A's fan. Rickey Henderson, Canseco, McGuire, Dennis Eckersley, Dave Parker. Or yeah, even Dave Parker was on that team. Dave Henderson, freaking just I just it's just a little bit of like, you know, my childhood kind of goes away. So, but anyways, we have a ton to get to, ton of football to get to today, but